Good afternoon and welcome to this, your daily briefing, which is a collector's edition because I'm not drunk out of my mind. I'm currently doing the backstroke in the living room carpet. We didn't learn anything from this game. There will be stuff that some of us will now try and digest, but I don't think that includes you and me. There are players within the Tottenham squad who have an immense amount of individual talent, which on its day, when they are so inclined, can sway outcomes. But that on its own has never been good enough for us. Some of the most, and this is the stuff I really hate, but just bear with me, but some of the most entertaining and Tottenham football I've ever watched was probably under Martin Jol. The odds of us winning under Martin Jol were pretty close to zero. And I just remember the hockey school games where it was 5-4, 6-2, you never knew what you were going to get. And quite frankly, on a footballing scale, on a footballing analysis, it was pretty unprofessional because, hockey scores, that's like air hockey, So what we got today was Leeds, who looked like they could have kept going for another half hour and probably scored another goal. Spurs got beat, and Spurs got beat because they weren't playing a pub team. And Dele Alli, Dele Alli and Gareth Bale, who I believe have been pretty sinister characters in HOTSPUR way over the last period of time, showed us what they can do. They can do some interesting stuff. But only for about an hour or whatever, and then they run out of ideas and they run out of steam because they aren't physically fit enough. One of these guys is a haircut on a stick, and his attention span goes like any child, and the other one is a bald patch on a stick, whose legs go after about an hour, unless he's playing for Wales, in which case you can definitely get like 90 minutes plus out of him every single time, no problem. So Ryan Mason, competition winner. I've been using that phrase a lot recently, but it sums up a good few people and the situations they find themselves in. Is it a bit personal? I don't know. You tell me. The internet is plagued with comments and suggestion boxes, so fill them in. Knock yourselves out. You tell me what Ryan Mason brings to the party. I see a guy who I feel sorry for, who is reading off of Enoch cue cards. The sight of Levy and Cullen sat in the stands at Ellen Road today didn't sit well with me. I thought it was interesting that the broadcasters flashed that up because ordinarily they kind of operate a little bit of a privacy code. And whilst nothing was fascinating was happening, they weren't talking to each other. I think Daniel had his phone out or something. It just sort of said to me, given the current climate, this is on you or this is on them. So we'll see what sort of reaction. I had a little look on Twitter and it didn't look very nice. I expect it to get worse. And you see, the problem is as well that we don't have that sort of distraction tactic that was in play when we were in the domestic and foreign cups. So the impetus from one game to the other is like a very, the line on the graph now looks like a very, very, very slack washing line because we're going week to week. And all this huff and puff and nonsense about, every game's a cup final, and, fantastic world-class facilities and blah, blah. Nobody cares. There was an interesting piece in the Daily Mail this morning where they revealed that the Bank of England loan is going to be rolled over to next year. 175 or 172 million. And the apologists will tell you, but it's an amazing rate. Yeah, it's 0.5%, which is fantastic. But even if we separate ourselves from the fact that, that it's an amazing rate, what in the name of rhubarb are a private investment company doing, taking advantage of this loan in order to supplement a business which is spending £1 million a month on a loan players' wages, or am I just being ridiculous? Am I I don't know, some sort of gooner sleeper cell, that's just only gone off in recent years? So yeah, you get 0.5%. That's cool. That's why not if it's sitting there, and then you default on it, or you don't default, but you can't pay it back, which is the same thing. And you say, oh, can you give me another year? So it goes up to an entire percent. So even when you're handed something, an absolute freebie, you still end up doubling the cost of it, if that makes sense. Football-wise, there's a little thing here I'm just going to have a quick look at because it's very fast. That's what she said. SofaScore gets the numbers up quicker than most people, but it's a little bit, it's like getting a roast dinner in 30 minutes. You might not be getting the very best quality there, but notable things are that Leeds beat us in virtually every single discipline going, and what was interesting as well, and this is at a glance stuff here, but they had just over 100 extra passes to us, and that's pretty phenomenal. But it also shows me that they were trying to actually build something with their passing, and a lot of our passing was frenetic. It levelled up by the end of the game, but in the first 12-15 minutes I noticed that we were nearly double in terms of how many loss of possession incidents that we'd had. It was literally double, and slowly but surely I think the rate, Leeds actually just caught up with us rather than us sort of tightening up things ourselves. As far as player activity goes, this SofaScore thing does an interesting thing where they sort of go from red to amber to green, and green is ideally the good scores, the sort of 7 and above. And Tottenham had three players, including Hugo, but 2 outfield players that notionally did well. But if you consider that was on a side that lost by 3-1, VAR, I don't want to even discuss it. If you're going to pin hang your hat, pin your colours to that particular mast, it could have been 3 or 2 disallowed goals, could have changed. You're going, yeah, sure. And if my auntie had wheels, she would have been a bicycle. But Eric Dyer, Toby Alderweireld and Sergio Reguilon in particular, in fact Serge Aurier, our defence, absolute mess. And the idea that Mourinho was somehow a deranged crackpot whose fixation upon improving our defence was something to be championed by the naysayers, to be mocked, just defies all belief. The only thing missing from this dreadful game was Harry Winks, and bringing on a rather, I don't even know how you describe him, but Tanguy Ndombele for the last 10 minutes. Mason doesn't know what he's doing, and to which note I would add that, and I don't say this in a look at me, I'm brilliant way, but I predicted the team, and I put the thing on it, not even a caveat. I just said there's no point in predicting the best 11 that Spurs might play today because Mason isn't going to do that, and I don't actually believe that he's picking the team. I believe that there is a little bit of listen with mother going on, and if Dele Alli needs to play, Gareth Bale needs to play for different reasons. But we didn't see any goals. There was a couple of nice touches from Dele for sure, but there wasn't enough there. There wasn't enough jam to spread over the entire slice of toast. So let's not kid ourselves. And Bale didn't score. Of course he didn't score because Leeds aren't a pub side. Do you know something? what Bielsa does, I'm not a massive fanboy of these, these sort of churches and disciples of different sort of, the religious cults within football. But what I see with Bielsa is he takes, not average, that's unkind, but he takes ordinary footballers and footballers that are on their way up or could be brought on their way up, and really gives them a sense of purpose and identity. And I can only imagine that playing for Leeds United is something that makes those guys extremely proud. And being a Leeds United fan must be something really worthwhile. Whereas with Tottenham, and I'm very nervous if people say, and I speak for many, because invariably when people say that, they're covering for the fact they're not, and they're trying to make out that their sort of nutjob views on the world are populist. But I've never felt such a disconnect with the club, and so alienated from so many of the players. And I think that's enhanced today, that mood, that vibe within the fan base, because you play a club like Leeds, who are really together, and just a tremendous footballing side. And Tottenham aren't a tremendous footballing side. The last note I'll leave on all of this fiasco today is pretty straightforward, and that is that I think this puts paid, surely, tell me, this puts paid to the business that we are supposedly looking to recruit not a young manager, but a manager, the coach that's going to bring through youth. This is, as I've been banging on for the last few weeks, this is more disinformation from the club. Anybody leaking at the moment isn't telling the truth. They've come from the Ryan Mason school of that approved notes. So yeah, we're going to rely on you. All of this commentary, all of this narrative is aimed at the not pro-Levy, pro-Enoch, but the sort of, well, they do know best after all brigade, who aren't capable of looking at anything in broad daylight. That people who don't want to scrutinise stuff too much. So this business of, we're looking for this sort of manager, we're looking for that sort of coach, it's all humbug, and that's the polite version. I don't know if anybody's answered the phone yet, if they've actually spoken to anybody credible yet. I think the chances of that happening are decreasing game by game. Leeds United was possibly, on paper, one of the less challenging games, even though it was away at Ellen Road. They are considerably or well enough beneath us in the table. So if you want screaming and shouting and people not speaking properly and leaping around, this is the wrong channel for you. But it strikes me that with a lot of the comments that I've been picking up over the recent couple of weeks started doing this, if you want common sense, and if you want something that's rational and a bit of lateral thought, this is where you'll get it. So subscribe, ring the bell, and we'll speak again. Good luck. Keep it on.